The lunar colony's observation deck stretched before them like a crystal cathedral, Earth hanging in the star-scattered void beyond the reinforced transparisteel. Kieran Vale adjusted his translation headset, watching the assembled delegates mill about the reception hall with practiced diplomatic grace. As the youngest xenolinguist ever assigned to a Thalari delegation, he'd spent months preparing for this moment, the first peace summit between humanity and the mysterious blue-skinned people of the Andromeda sector. But nothing had prepared him for Viraya. She stood apart from the crowd, her pale blue skin seeming to absorb and reflect the gentle lighting like living pearl. Red curls caught the artificial starlight, framing features that were unmistakably alien yet hauntingly beautiful. The Thalari emissary moved with liquid grace, her two hands clasped formally behind her back as she observed the human delegates with those startling violet eyes. "She's magnificent," breathed Ambassador Torres, following Kieran's gaze. "And completely untouchable, according to their customs. The Thalari don't engage in casual physical contact, it's considered almost sacred to them." Kieran nodded, forcing himself to focus on his duties rather than the way Viraya's form-fitting diplomatic attire highlighted her elegant silhouette. He'd studied Thalari culture extensively, knew their people viewed touch as the deepest form of communication, reserved only for life-bonded partners and family. The reception continued around them, a careful dance of species learning to coexist. Kieran found himself gravitating toward Viraya throughout the evening, translating not just her words but the subtle nuances of her expressions for the human delegation. She spoke with quiet authority about resource sharing and territorial boundaries, her voice carrying musical undertones that his equipment couldn't quite capture. "Your translation captures more than words," she said to him during a brief pause, her English accented but precise. "You understand the emotion beneath." "I try to honor the speaker's intent," Kieran replied, surprised by her directness. Most Thalari barely acknowledged translators as anything more than living equipment. Something shifted in her violet gaze, a flicker of curiosity, perhaps even warmth. "Most humans see us as curiosities. You see us as people." Before he could respond, a server approached with a tray of drinks, a ceremonial sharing of beverages from both worlds. Viraya accepted a crystalline glass filled with pale amber liquid, a traditional Thalari nectar that had been specially prepared for the summit. "To understanding between our peoples," she said, raising the glass. The toast echoed through the hall, dozens of voices joining in multiple languages. Kieran watched as Viraya brought the glass to her lips, the liquid catching the light like liquid gold. She drank deeply, then froze. The glass slipped from her fingers, shattering against the polished floor. Viraya's pale blue skin began to shift, silver veins spreading like frost across her cheeks and down her neck. Her body convulsed once, twice, before she collapsed. Chaos erupted. Security rushed forward while medical teams converged on her trembling form. Kieran found himself kneeling beside her, watching in horror as the silver discoloration spread across her skin like a living thing. "Get Healer Nexus," someone shouted in the Thalari language. "Now." Viraya's violet eyes found his, filled with pain and a terrible understanding. Her lips moved, forming words too quiet for others to hear, "not, accident." As the medical team lifted her onto a transport, Kieran realized with growing dread that someone had just committed an act of war disguised as hospitality. And somehow, he was the only one who'd heard her whispered revelation. The summit was over before it had truly begun. The medical bay's sterile white walls seemed to close in as Kieran paced outside the quarantine chamber. Through the transparent barrier, he could see Viraya lying on the biobed, her pale blue skin now streaked with silver that pulsed like liquid mercury beneath the surface. Healer Nexus, an elderly Thalari with intricate tattoos covering his arms, worked frantically over scanning equipment that hummed with alien technology. "The analysis is complete," Nexus announced, his voice heavy with grief. "This toxin was engineered specifically for our genome. It targets the neural pathways that regulate our life force, what you might call our soul." Kieran's stomach dropped. "How long does she have?" "Until sunrise." 6 hours, perhaps 7. Nexus's violet eyes met his through the barrier. But there is a possibility. An ancient failsafe written into our genetic code millions of years ago, when our species first began bonding with others. What kind of failsafe? The healer's expression grew troubled. A thalari can form a life bond with a compatible species, humans, as it happens. The bond creates a biological bridge that can counteract toxins like this one. But it requires complete trust, complete surrender of barriers between minds and bodies. Kieran felt heat rise in his cheeks. You mean? Physical intimacy is part of it, yes. But more than that, emotional vulnerability. The thalari must open their neural pathways completely to their chosen partner. It's not just mating, it's a fusion of souls. Nexus paused, studying Kieran intently. She's been asking for you. Inside the chamber, Virea stirred, her eyes fluttering open. Even through the barriers, Kieran could see how the silver had spread across her throat and arms, creating intricate patterns that would have been beautiful if they weren't killing her. Let me in, Kieran said. The chamber is sealed for your protection. Let me in. His voice carried an authority he didn't know he possessed. If she's going to die, she shouldn't die alone. Nexus hesitated, then activated the chamber's entry sequence. The barrier dissolved, and Kieran stepped inside, immediately feeling the temperature difference. Thalari ran warmer than humans, and the room had been adjusted for her comfort. Virea turned her head toward him, and despite her condition, she smiled. You came. Of course I came. He knelt beside the bio bed, careful not to disturb the monitoring equipment. How do you feel? Like silver fire is flowing through my veins. She tried to sit up, and he gently supported her shoulders. The touch sent an unexpected shock through him. Her skin was fever warm, and where his hands made contact, he could swear he felt an electric connection. Kieran, I need to tell you something. Save your strength. No. Her hand found his, fingers intertwining. I've been watching you for months, since the preliminary negotiations began. The way you listen, really listen, when others speak. The way you see beyond the surface of things. Her violet eyes locked with his. I chose you before any of this happened. His heart hammered against his ribs. Virea. The bond, it's not just about survival. It's about choice. About love. She shifted closer, and he could smell her scent, something like jasmine and starlight. I know it's selfish to ask, but I want to live. And I want to live with you. Through the observation window, Kieran could see Nexus monitoring them, his expression unreadable. The healer had explained the process clinically, but looking into Virea's eyes, Kieran understood this was about so much more than biology. What exactly happens? He asked quietly. In the bonding? We become one. Your life force sustains mine, and mine sustains yours. We share thoughts, emotions, even memories. Her thumb traced across his knuckles. But it's permanent, Kieran. Once bonded, we can never be truly separate again. The weight of her words settled over him. A lifetime commitment to someone he'd known for only months, to save her life and potentially change the course of interspecies relations forever. I need to know, she continued, her voice growing weaker as the silver spread further across her skin. Not because I'm dying, but because I want to know, would you choose me if there was no crisis? If this was just, us? Kieran looked at her, really looked at her. The elegant curve of her neck, the way her red curls caught the light, the intelligence and warmth in her eyes even as pain racked her body. He thought about the connection he'd felt with her during the summit, the way she'd seen him as more than just a translator. Yes, he said simply. I would choose you. Relief flooded her features. Then help me live. Help me love you. Outside, the first hint of dawn was still hours away, but time was running out faster than either of them had anticipated. The medical bay's lights dimmed to a soft amber glow as Nexus sealed the chamber from the outside, giving them privacy for what was to come. Virea's breathing had grown more labored, the silver veins now reaching toward her heart in delicate, deadly patterns. "How do we begin?" Kieran asked, settling beside her on the biobed. The space was narrow, forcing them close together, her warmth radiating against his side. "With truth," she whispered. "The bond can only form between souls that truly know each other." She turned to face him, propping herself up on one elbow despite her weakness. "Tell me about your deepest fear." Kieran felt his throat tighten. That's a hell of a way to start. The bond will show me anyway. But I want to hear it from you first." Her fingers traced the edge of his jaw, the touch sending shivers through him. "Trust me." He closed his eyes, feeling the weight of years of carefully constructed walls. "I'm afraid of being ordinary. Of being forgotten." The words came out rough, barely audible. "My whole life, I've been the one in the background, translating other people's important words, facilitating other people's crucial conversations. I'm afraid that when I'm gone, it'll be like I was never here at all." When he opened his eyes, Viraya was watching him with an expression of profound tenderness. "You translate more than words, Kieran. You translate hearts. You make understanding possible between people who might otherwise remain strangers forever." Her thumb brushed across his cheekbone. "You are anything but ordinary." "What about you?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "What's your deepest fear?" "That I'll never be enough." She looked away, silver tears tracking down her cheeks. "My people sent me here because I'm expendable, brilliant enough to be useful, but not so important that losing me would matter. I'm afraid that even if I survive this, I'll always be the Thalari who needed saving. The one who couldn't complete her mission." "You're not expendable," Kieran said fiercely, cupping her face in his hands. "You're extraordinary. You're brave and beautiful and—" She silenced him with a kiss, her lips warm and surprisingly soft against his. The contact sent a jolt through both of them. He could feel it in the way she gasped, in the way her body pressed closer to his. When they broke apart, her eyes were wide with wonder. "I felt your emotions," she breathed. "Just for a moment, but I felt them. The bond is beginning." "Is that normal?" "Nothing about this is normal." She laughed, the sound musical even in her weakened state. "Thalari bonds usually take months to develop. We're trying to forge one in hours. Then we'd better not waste time." Kieran's hands moved to the fastenings of her diplomatic attire, pausing at the first closure. Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." She covered his hands with hers, guiding them. "Show me what it means to be chosen." Her garments fell away like water, revealing the pale blue perfection of her form. The silver veins created intricate patterns across her skin, beautiful and terrible in their deadly artistry. Kieran traced one with his fingertip, watching as it pulsed with renewed light at his touch. "You're beautiful," he murmured, the words inadequate for what he was feeling. "So are you." Her hands worked at his clothes with growing urgency. "I can feel your heartbeat. It's calling to mine." When skin met skin, the connection exploded between them. Kieran gasped as emotions not his own flooded through him, her longing, her fear, her growing love. He could feel her wonder at the sensation of being truly seen, truly valued. "I can feel you," she whispered against his throat. "Your loneliness, your kindness, your strength. You're not ordinary, Kieran. You're magnificent." They moved together slowly, carefully, learning the geography of each other's bodies. Every touch, every kiss, every shared breath seemed to strengthen the invisible threads weaving between them. Viraya's skin grew warmer under his hands, and he could swear the silver veins were pulsing more slowly now. "Tell me about your first memory," she said as they lay entwined, her head on his chest. "My mother reading to me," he replied, his fingers combing through her red curls. "She had this old book of fairy tales, and she'd do all the voices. I must have been 4. What about you?" "The singing pools on my homeworld. My parents took me there when I was very young." The water responds to emotion, creates melodies based on what you're feeling. She lifted her head to look at him. I wish I could show you. Maybe someday you will. If we survive this, she said softly. If the bond works. It's working. He could feel it, the way their heartbeats were synchronizing, the way her thoughts occasionally brushed against his consciousness. I can feel you inside me. Part of me. She smiled, and for the first time since the poisoning, the expression reached her eyes. Then let's see how deep this connection can go. Outside, the stars wheeled in their courses, and dawn crept closer with each passing moment. The biobed's monitoring systems had gone quiet, their urgent beeping replaced by a steady, synchronized rhythm that matched their heartbeats. Viraya's skin had taken on a subtle luminescence, the silver veins now pulsing in harmony with the warm blue glow that seemed to emanate from within her. Something's changing, Kieran murmured, his lips against her temple. He could feel her thoughts more clearly now, like whispers at the edge of consciousness. Her memories occasionally flickered through his mind, glimpses of alien landscapes, the taste of foods he'd never eaten, the sound of Thalari music that resonated in frequencies beyond human hearing. The bond is deepening, she confirmed, her voice stronger than it had been since the poisoning. I can feel your life force intertwining with mine. It's incredible. She shifted in his arms, her body pressing closer to his. The connection between them had grown from electric touches to something deeper, more profound. When she looked at him, he felt her emotions as clearly as his own, love, gratitude, wonder, and a growing sense of completeness. I need more of you, she whispered, her hands exploring the planes of his chest. The bond requires complete surrender, complete unity. Then take me, he replied, his voice rough with emotion. All of me. This time, when they came together, it was with an intensity that transcended the physical. Kieran felt the barriers between their minds dissolving, her consciousness flowing into his like warm honey. He experienced her memories of watching him from across diplomatic chambers, her growing fascination with his quiet competence and hidden depths. He felt her alien perspective on human customs, her longing for connection in a universe that often seemed cold and hostile. In return, she experienced his memories, growing up the son of diplomats, always moving from one assignment to another, never quite belonging anywhere. She felt his intellectual hunger, his deep need to understand and bridge differences between people. She experienced his wonder at meeting her species, his immediate attraction to her elegant alien beauty. I can see Earth through your eyes, she gasped, her back arching as waves of sensation coursed through both of them. It's beautiful. Blue and green and alive. And I can see your homeworld, he replied, his vision filled with images of crystal cities and singing waters. It's magnificent. Their bodies moved together in perfect synchronization, no longer two separate beings but something new, something more. The silver veins on her skin began to fade, replaced by a warm golden glow that seemed to pulse with their shared heartbeat. It's working, she breathed, her violet eyes bright with tears of relief. The poison is retreating. But even as the toxin lost its hold on her, Kieran felt the bond pulling them deeper into each other. Her thoughts became his thoughts, her memories layered with his own. He could feel her language centers opening to him, flooding him with knowledge of Thalari culture, history, and philosophy. In return, she absorbed his understanding of human nature, his linguistic expertise, his emotional intelligence. I love you, he said, the words coming from the depths of his soul. I love all of you, your mind, your heart, your alien beauty, your fierce spirit. And I love you, she replied, her voice carrying harmonics that his enhanced hearing could now detect. My brave, beautiful human. My bondmate. The word carried weight beyond simple translation. Bondmate meant partner, lover, other half, soulmate, all of these and more. It was a concept that existed in Thalari culture but had no true equivalent in human language. I can feel your language changing, she said with wonder. The bond is giving you new words, new ways of understanding. And you're understanding human emotion in ways your people never could, he replied. We're becoming something new. Something that's never existed before. Outside the chamber, he could sense Nexus monitoring them, feel the healer's amazement at the strength of the bond they were forging. Other Thalari had gathered, drawn by the unprecedented psychic resonance emanating from the medical bay. They can feel us, Virea said, her awareness expanded beyond the confines of the room. The entire delegation. They're awed. Let them be, Kieran replied, his hands tangling in her red curls. Right now, there's only us. She smiled, and in that expression he saw his future, a lifetime of shared experiences, of bridging worlds not just through translation but through love. The bond between them was no longer just a desperate attempt to save her life, it had become something transcendent, something that would change both their species' understanding of what was possible. How long until sunrise? She asked, though they both knew the answer. 2 hours, he replied. Will it be enough? It has to be. She pulled him closer, their bodies fitting together like pieces of a puzzle that had finally found its missing half. Because I'm not done with you yet, Kieran Vale. I'm not done with us. The golden glow surrounding them intensified, and Kieran felt the bond settling into something permanent, unbreakable. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The first rays of Earth's sunrise painted the medical bay in shades of gold and rose as Kieran held Virea against his chest, both of them watching the light creep across the lunar surface through the observation window. The silver veins had completely vanished from her skin, replaced by a subtle luminescence that seemed to pulse in rhythm with their synchronized heartbeats. It's beautiful, she whispered, her voice carrying new harmonics that resonated in his enhanced hearing. I never understood why humans were so fascinated by your sunrise until now. It's not just the sunrise, Kieran replied, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her bare shoulder. It's what it represents. New beginnings. Hope. The promise that no matter how dark the night, light always returns. Like us, she murmured, tilting her head to look at him. Her violet eyes now held flecks of gold that he was certain hadn't been there before, a sign of their deepening bond. We found light in the darkness. The chamber door chimed softly, and Nexus entered with a medical scanner, his expression carefully neutral as he approached the biobed. Forgive the intrusion, but I must verify the poison status. Virea submitted to the scan with patient grace, her hand never leaving Kieran's. The results appeared on the healer's device, and his aged features broke into a smile of wonder. Extraordinary, he breathed. The toxin has been completely neutralized. Your neural pathways are not only stable but enhanced. The bond has created new synaptic connections I've never seen before. He looked between them with something approaching reverence. You've achieved something that will be studied for generations. We've achieved something that matters more than studies, Virea said firmly. We've found each other. Nexus bowed his head respectfully. Indeed. But you should know, the political implications of this are significant. A successful human-Thalari bond changes everything. There will be those who see this as an opportunity, and others who view it as a threat. Let them come, Kieran said, his voice carrying a confidence he'd never possessed before. Through the bond, he could feel Virea's strength reinforcing his own. We're not going anywhere. A commotion outside the chamber drew their attention. Through the observation window, they could see delegates from both species gathering in the corridor, their voices a mixture of excitement and concern. Ambassador Torres appeared at the window, her expression unreadable. The news has spread, Nexus observed. The summit may be over, but the real negotiations are just beginning. Then we'd better get dressed, Virea said with a rueful smile. I suspect we're about to become the center of attention. As they helped each other into their clothes, Kieran marveled at the easy intimacy that had developed between them. Every touch, every glance, carried layers of meaning that transcended language. He could feel her emotions as clearly as his own, her determination to make their bond work, her excitement about the future they would build together, her lingering worry about the challenges ahead. Whatever happens, she said, straightening his translator's insignia with gentle fingers, remember that you're not ordinary. You're the human who changed the course of history by opening his heart to an alien. And you're the Thalari who saved both our species by being brave enough to trust, he replied, capturing her hands in his. We're extraordinary together. The chamber door opened to admit Ambassador Torres, her diplomatic mask firmly in place. The situation has become complex, she began. There are questions about the legitimacy of the bond, concerns about its implications for future relations, demands for full disclosure of the process. They want to know if it can be replicated, Viraya translated, her understanding of human politics enhanced by her bond with Kiran. If what we've done can be turned into a tool for alliance or conquest. And what do we tell them? Torres asked. Kiran and Viraya exchanged a look, their mental connection allowing for a conversation that took place in seconds. When they turned back to the ambassador, they spoke in unison, their voices harmonizing in a way that made the Thalari delegation visible through the window straighten with recognition. We tell them the truth, they said. Love cannot be manufactured or weaponized. It can only be chosen. And if they don't accept that? Torres pressed. Then we show them, Viraya replied, her hand finding Kiran's. We show them what's possible when two species choose understanding over fear, connection over isolation. We show them the future, Kiran added. Not just for Thalari and humans, but for all species who are brave enough to open their hearts. Through the observation window, the assembled delegates watched as the bonded pair approached the door. Some faces showed curiosity, others concern, but all showed respect for what had been accomplished in the darkness before dawn. Ready? Viraya asked, her mental voice warm with affection and determination. Ready, Kiran replied, his own thoughts flowing back to her in perfect harmony. Let's go change the universe. Hand in hand, they stepped through the doorway into the bright morning light, carrying with them the promise of a new era, one where love could indeed serve as the antidote to hatred, and where the bonds between hearts could bridge the vast distances between worlds. Behind them, the medical bay stood empty except for the echo of their intertwined heartbeats, still pulsing in perfect synchrony as they faced their future together. The poison had been designed to kill her kind, but love had proven stronger than hate. And in that victory, two species found hope for a shared tomorrow among the stars.